Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where every week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I'm Shanae Howard, and with me is Thomas Shelby
Hello.
and Ryan Robinson.
Hi.
So, guys, what have y'all been playing this week?
Trying to finish up the Spider-Man Platinum, Miles
How close
Morales
are you?
Platinum. I'm pretty close. I'm at I don't know, like 89%, something like that. It's getting there.
Any
And,
what's
huh?
any that you're working on right now?
Uh, yeah, I need to finish New Game Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to do like a little enemy camp without getting seen. Crap like the normal trophy crap. It all looks pretty easy. So I'm doing that. I popped in Immortals about an hour ago,
Cool.
and it's what I thought it would be. The art style's gross, the acting's gross, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know,
How is it? How is the acting gross?
Because what I just imagined, like
it's
Tom.
just. I guess I shouldn't say the acting's gross. The writing, I don't like. I don't like the writing. I won't even say it's bad. It's just not for me.
I just imagining Tom like playing, just like, ugh.
It's a lot of eye
Ugh.
rolling. It's a lot of eye rolling.
Yeah.
And it's not even like it's an ugly game. Like textures are fine, models are fine. It's just an art style I don't care for.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
it
like
looks almost like Fortnite, like that kind of art style.
Okay.
And like I don't have a problem with Fortnite either. I just don't particularly care for that generic ass art style.
That's bright colors.
I played a good couple hours of The Pathless, and that's a whole lot of fun so far.
Nice.
Really cool traversal.
Tell me about the Pathless, because I'm very interested in that game.
So you're this woman with a bow and arrow, and there's like these little targets all over the place.
Okay.
And as you're running, you're shooting these targets, which give you additional stamina and make you move faster. So like shooting is tied to traversal, which is really neat the way that they do it. But like there's not a lot, like there's really no enemies except for like the bosses. And then there's like puzzles, like Zelda-esque puzzles.
Yeah,
But
that's fine.
it's a lot of fun so far, and that game's really pretty. And then I got this Apple Watch. And
Ooh, you got it? You joined the club?
yeah, and I played a couple of games on there. I was like, let's see what a game on Apple Watch is like. I bet it's gonna suck.
Were you correct?
It's not great, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. A lot of these developers are making good use of this little wheel,
Yeah.
So like I'm like, fuck. I played Pong on there, like Atari's Pong,
Oh,
And like
that's kind of like perfect for it.
yeah, it's fucking Pong. It works fine, But
I
then
mean,
I'm like, it's got this dial. Fuck, it would be sweet to play Tempest on this.
Oh yeah.
I love Tempest.
Yeah.
I found a game. It's not Tempest, but it's a lot like Tempest. I don't remember what it's called, but I mean, I haven't like put time into those, but like, it's. I imagine when I go back to work this week, I'm gonna waste a lot of time fidgeting with this thing. So
yeah. I mean, it's fun. Also, like, you just feel like a super secret spy, so you're just like
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I
into
found
it.
some apps that like let you access like Instagram and Twitter. So like that'll be nice to pass the minutes at work.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's really nice, like, when you're going out and about and, like, you have your phone in your wallet, or not your wallet, your pocket or your purse,
Yeah.
and if, like, you want to respond to something real fast. Super convenient.
Well, I'll say this: I was driving today, and I was
Oh,
getting a phone call. At what?
I thought you were going to say you were driving and being on your watch, sir.
No, I was getting a phone call, and I wanted to shut my phone up, but instead of reaching into my pocket, I just tapped the watch. So that was nice.
Yeah,
But
you also can turn your
I'm
alarm off with it,
honestly
too.
not that impressed with it. But I do think I will like it for the reason I got it, which is to kill time at work.
Sure.
So
Uh, What else have you been what else have you been playing, or that's about it?
That's it. I bought the Medieval remake, but I haven't started it yet.
I played
And
a
I
good
bought,
round out of that.
yeah, and I bought the new Sackboy game, but I haven't started that yet. But
Is the tagline of that game "Sack Up"?
yeah, but you know, like I'm just I'm excited to play all these games, but I want to finish Spider-Man
All
before I
these
get
games.
too
All
deep into
these
something
games.
else. Like Immortals,
Uh,
I played an hour. I don't think I'm going to touch that game probably for another few weeks because I'll probably play something else before I play that. Like Pathless or Sackboy or like one of those. I got Maneater. Maneater's free for
Oh,
PS5 this
how?
month.
Tell me how? Did you play it? How is it?
No, I haven't touched it yet.
Oh man.
That's what I'm getting at. Like I got all these games I want to play, but like
I got all these games. I
I'm
can't fucking play
trying
all these
to
games.
I'm trying to be better about not playing several games at once. You know?
No.
Because like usually I'm playing like 6 games at once, and
I know. I
it
was just
makes
making
me
reference to the
like
fact that I never do that.
yeah, it makes me like lose interest in one or two of them, and then I never go back to them.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be better about that.
What about you, Ryan? What have you been playing?
Well, so the last week has been a lot of Borderlands 3, and I tell you, like Borderlands writing is still very very bad. However, Borderlands 3 is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with it. Um, I went through the game playing as the Siren character, and what's cool about the way skills are set up in that game is that each skill tree actually feels different. Whereas like each
Yeah.
so like in the previous games, like the action skill as they call it was always the same. They just kind of behave differently depending on the tree you went down. This time each tree has a different action skill, so it kind of changes the
Oh,
gameplay
nice.
up. And like you can mix and match them in different ways. So like you can take something from one tree to
Country
alt.
Hill?
Yeah, you can take
Yeah, you can take.
you can take it from you could take it from one tree hill and put it and use it in the skill from another tree hill, and kind of modify them that way. So it adds a lot of customization there. But yeah, I played through it. The campaign, I just finished it last night. That was cool. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 3 remake, not a whole lot, but what I did play um, was so far is very cool. Um, I don't see what the problem with Nemesis is. His teeth are fine. He's still a scary
His
guy.
teeth are fine. His
I just
teeth are just
remember
fine.
like when Nemesis was first shown, like a lot of attention was paid to his teeth. Uh, but anyway, I think the game it looks cool. I like the way I was talking to Tom, and I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I really don't remember, but I like the FMV intro to the game. I think it's like a really good callback to like the PS1 days of Resident Evil. Um, and let's see, I didn't get to play it, but I watched a friend of mine play the Monster Hunter Rise demo, and I am very very excited.
You're in?
I'm excited, like because you got your
Is the hype real?
you got a dog that hangs out with you, and he's your friend, and you can use him as a mount. And they have all these different They have all these tools that are like really new to Monster Hunter that make the game look pretty new again. So like I'm excited to try.
It's back where it belongs, on a handheld.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's another way to look at it. But
I mean,
yeah,
that's where it's always thrived, you know.
um, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually playing that. Let's see, March, I believe, is when that comes out. So that's gonna be a good time. And I don't think that I've played anything else this week. I think that's pretty much it. I played 2 minutes of Persona 5 Royal. Also, that's it.
So this week I was switching ADD medicine. So I kind of fun it all into puzzles. So to be honest, I did a lot of puzzles this week instead of playing games. But just about to beat Divinity with Birdo, and like my game on the last boss fight for both of them, and then played some more Fire Emblem Three Houses. Uh, I've been playing. I don't know if you listened or heard Tom in that previous show, but like I re-downloaded Apple Arcade and still loving it. That Outlanders game that I was into, they made a sandbox mode, so now I've been playing like my own like rules and goals and stuff, and I can like build my own areas and picking them out and stuff. It's great. I'm having a
You should check
blast.
out. I'm pretty sure Pathless is on Apple Arcade. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
I've heard
I
of.
think so because it looked or it sounded very familiar when you were
Yeah, and I
describing
don't
it.
know how it would play on a phone,
Yeah.
but like maybe it's okay.
The only one that
I
I
mean,
know
it
that's
sounds like I could play it on my Apple TV.
the only one that I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I have a little clippy. Like I play my Apple Arcade games on my DualShock 4s, you know.
I
But
I have one of my Xbox One controllers hooked up to my Apple TV.
yeah, but yeah, if it's on there, I think it's on there. You should give it a shot.
Yeah.
I paid $40 for that bit. Well, I didn't pay $40. My sister paid $40 for that bitch.
Yeah.
But
And then also I've been playing another game that is honestly for our topic, and yeah, so I kind of so if you want to, whose idea was this? Was it yours,
mine.
Ryan?
It was
Or
Tom.
Tom's?
Don't take credit away from Thomas.
Yeah, I hate it when you do that. I hate it.
Thomas, do you want to say what the topic is this week? And then I can talk about the last game I played?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about games that we enjoy that I don't want to say like everybody else hates, but a lot of people seem to dislike. You know?
Yeah. So I was trying to think of games, and I couldn't remember if we were going to talk about it this week or next week, but well, I was thinking about games that kind of fell under that. And the game that I've had to defend the most is Final Fantasy X2, I think, in my life. And then I remember that it's on PlayStation 4, so then I bought that bitch. So I've been
Nice.
so I've been replaying it. I'm not too far into it, but yeah, I still love it. It's even after all these years, and I still think still think the whole like dress spheres to change your like class and stuff. I still think it's a fine battle system, and I enjoy it.
So was that like the way that I've heard the dress spheres described in that game is it sounds like the means that game uses to reintroduce the job system to the game.
Um, kind of. It's just like a class grid. Like if you remember, in like Final Fantasy, what's the one with Lightning 14?
13, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
13. Yeah, so it kind of reminds me like where you could do like the different classes and it would like give them the names like shock and drop or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
so it just like reminds me of the grid system for that, but like this one like to you create like the dress sphere,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's different ones that are different designs and you can put like little spheres in there. And so people can change their like class because if they have like the dress sphere in there, and the way that they can change it and what they can change it to is like dependent on where you put it in the grid.
Okay.
So like this thing can go into this pretty easily and stuff like that. So like I mean it's a little like convoluted, but like it's not that big of a deal. And people that like I've heard so many people tell me that it's just Final Fantasy dress up, and I'm just like no, it's a legitimate game with strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, so like that's something that's like the one criticism I've heard. Like I should say the one like uh the largest criticism I've heard is that like people just see it as Final Fantasy dress up like that as if to say that aspect of the game does not affect gameplay at all, but from the what you're saying, it absolutely does. Uh
Yeah. It's a whole like yeah, they call them dress spheres, like it's a whole thing. And like different characters do look like pretty vastly different in their different costumes and stuff, and they go through that and they get different stats, and I don't know. I always thought it was super cool. Like like yeah, like the main character is a pop star. Okay, like that's not what you want to be. That's fine. It's still a great story. It's still Final Fantasy. It's still like
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know.
cool with
But I
being that.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just Final Fantasy is one of those things where, like, I feel like with a series as old as Final Fantasy, especially like even for as old as it was when X2 came out, like it's just like for a series that's going that long, like some experimentation is definitely warranted. Like, you can't just keep releasing the same formula every time.
Well,
Uh,
they really
so
do, right? But
and
and I
also I
think
don't.
as a series, the same can be said for a lot of that series. Like Ryan and I both like 13 quite a bit, and
yeah,
13 got
I was going.
shat all
I
over. You know,
yeah.
I was gonna say I liked 13. I like 13 too. I never played Lightning's Revenge, so
Lightning
maybe I didn't like
Returns,
13 or Returns, whatever.
Lightning's Revenge, Final Fantasy 13 to Lightning Revengeance.
Yeah. So Lightning's Return. I never played that, so maybe it wasn't that good. But like, I also don't remember how far off like X2 was after like the Squaresoft and Enix like merge. I always like am very confused on where in the timeline like of Final Fantasy games like that happened.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Um,
Um,
but yeah, like 13, everyone's criticism was that like it's too linear,
yeah,
and
and
Lightning is a dry character. I'm like, dude, it's Final Fantasy. Like most of them are dry.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
like,
was like, what? Cloud's a
Yeah,
puddle of
like
emotion. Like
yeah.
yeah.
Like everybody
And
is
I
it's
did not mind at all that like it was basically going down hallways for the majority of the first part of the game. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it didn't bother me. The battle system's awesome. At the time, the game was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
it
I thought the
was.
acting was all pretty good. Like a
Um
lot of people hate Vanille. I thought it was fine. A
Yeah.
lot of people didn't like Snow. I thought it was fine. You know.
I and also like I think some people just didn't like because of marketing and
Yeah.
cosplay scene. I heard a lot of like criticism. A lot of the criticism I've heard in real life is about those two things, but that's also a thing that I do a lot. So anecdotally, I will hear it more often.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I mean, I was fine to be more linear. It's like a new game for a new generation. At the time, I understood that too, and I also thought it was beautiful. But I
Well,
also don't think a
13
lot of
and
people played
13's
like
like opposite 15, right? Like 15 is open and then narrows, and 13 is narrow and then opens. You know, but
But
I
how
don't
many
know.
people like played that game to completion that were complaining about it, or just played a couple hours of it?
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. But I guess it's funny because like I never actually thought about how similar Cloud and Lightning are to each other until like this conversation. But like they're
I
the
mean, a
same.
lot of them though, right? Not even
Yeah.
just those two. There's a lot of them, but
Yeah. But like it's
you
just
know,
it's just funny because like the criticisms are of attributes that everybody's favorite Final Fantasy guy has. And
mm-hmm.
like but like it's just I think it comes down and I think that the big thing about both of those games is that like the central what is the central character is kind of they're kind of dry and whatever but like what makes it is like the characters that surround that character because they're the
Right,
ones that are all animated and have like all this personality.
right,
Well,
and
um
what's
the
Cloud's
same could be said
girlfriend?
about both
Aerith?
games, right?
yeah.
What's the girl's name? Aerith, Eris, whatever.
Yeah, there's Aerith and there's Tifa. That's what you're talking. You're talking about 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, if they weren't interesting, like, no one would give a shit about Cloud.
So like
Nah, he still had a cool sword. People would have cared.
with
But the same thing though, right? Like Vanille and Hope and Snow, like those were pretty interesting characters, you know.
So like with 10-2, like I know that there's Yuna and then she has Riku and this other person whose name I don't know. Uh
Uh, not so there is Pain, Yuna, and Riku.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like I mean
Pain's
I know like the personalities I know the personality of Yuna from just based on what I've experienced in Final Fantasy X, and I mean honestly she wasn't terribly interesting, but I know that Riku was more lively and more I guess spirited, and I don't know anything about Pain.
Bubbly.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about Pain, but like I have to imagine like the three of them probably play off each other, have to play off each other pretty well, since from what I can tell, they're the three playable characters in the game.
Yeah, the three main characters that you play throughout the game. So like Yuna, I think does have a different person. Always just has more personality than Ten.
Yeah,
Mainly because she has more of an opportunity to you just get to see what she's like without the boyfriend and all that.
yeah.
And like and then that game Sid like constantly hits on her and she's like, I appreciate you giving us rides, dude, but fuck off. Uh but yeah, no, so Pain is basically emotionless, so just like super stoic. Uh Riku's like the 5-year-old hyper energetic, and then Yuna is kind of like the good balance in between. So, but they do, I think, a pretty good job sh of making their relationship feel organic and not just like, oh, we have one of each type, but like they actually do like care about each other and their little interactions and like things they say to each other. The fact that like Pain's like big thing is like, well, what about Yuna? Or like, and like Riku will like Pain, like it's okay, like and reassures her, even though she's the bubbly one and Pain's the serious one, he wouldn't think so. And like, yeah, I think they do a really good job, and I've always liked anything about it. And I don't know, I like most Final Fantasy games. I'm normally like the dweeb Square Enix defender. I'm just like, yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever actually seen that game played before, but like, is the combat like turn based, like traditional Final Fantasy, or like is it, or how is it? Is it like real time or some mixture between the two, or
It's turn-based
okay,
because like I always like I'm questioning what the mixture is on those, but yeah, it's just it plays besides like the dress sphere and like you still do all your stuff at the beginning of the turn, it
yeah,
goes. And then in between like you can choose like after the turn then to like switch your sphere, but that takes up your turn.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Unless you do like a specific one and there'll be like a kind of like you'll have like some grids that have like a little special combination between that does it like better. So I believe if I remember correctly and I haven't gotten this far in the game, I think that if you do some of those like you'll get like a thing as you come out because I feel like I remember one of the gunslingers getting like as they come out like or change they'll get like one pot shot or something.
right,
That's like Child of Light or like Final Fantasy VII. Like those are not actually turn-based games, right? Everything works on a cooldown, and if an enemy cools down before you, they're going to go. But that doesn't, it's not really a
Got
turn
you.
thing. Those games would not be considered turn-based, really.
what do you call it then?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not
The
turn-based
final
because it's
countdown.
not turns.
Okay, uh, so okay, so it's one of it's not turn based like Final Fantasy is. It seems like it seems though like that game always looked pretty fun to me. I just never played it because I never finished Final Fantasy X. And so, and like it's funny because like I never played Final Fantasy X, but I also refused to look up how Final Fantasy X ends because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled in case I play it one day, 25 years later.
It's on PS4. You might.
I mean, I don't
And
know.
it's half off right now.
Yeah, so but
Both games, $12.
yeah, so maybe. I mean, it is like I Final Fantasy X of all the games that are of that of that type in Final Fantasy. I guess because now I don't know what to call them, but I always thought it did combat the best out of all the games up to that point. And so I wish
Also, yeah,
I
Well,
wish I'd stayed with it.
there are a lot of turn-based Final Fantasy games.
I'm confused. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
but
know.
like also, I think that part of the reason people didn't like it as well is because they liked 10 so much. Some of it's probably because female protagonist, probably some's dress fear, that thing.
But I
And
also
then,
remember like 10 having like having some weird racism in it. From like what's the guy with the beach ball? Uh,
Waka?
yeah. He was he was always like he had like he harbored like racism against like Riku's people, and he was like always very vocal about it. So
Eh, I mean that's a lot of Final Fantasy games. If there's like a slightly different race,
wait, is
there's
that a thing?
somebody.
Is that a thing with Final Fantasy that I just
I
never
mean,
picked up
I
on?
don't know. I mean not like that, but I mean like I think I like hear something that says something about Riku's people in Final Fantasy X2, but like I don't know. I mean I've played some Square Enix games that like that's a thing where there's like a whole like subset of other people and
Yeah,
people don't like them.
I'm just like ew.
I've heard NPCs talk mad shit about Moogles. The Moogles are great, so like I don't know. Somebody don't like somebody.
Yeah, I don't like Moogles either though. So
But the other two games I have are just kind of like lame ones, the ones I could think of. The Doctor Lautrec, which is the Professor Layton knockoff on 3DS. I love that game.
so is it basically the same game with a different feller?
Very similar.
Okay.
It's super similar, but it's not the exact same game. There's like some sort of like Pokemon-esque battle, gotta collect them all thing for antiques. But there's also like puzzling going around the city. It's
Okay.
very similar,
Okay.
but but your antiques got ghosts in them that you gotta battle out of them.
Doctor
Uh,
Lautrec.
yeah, and then that one I think they had to stop like the whole developer and everything had to stop make like putting it out there because of a cease and desist.
Oh,
And then now I'm blanking on it, but the VR sports game for the PlayStation 3.
VR sport, VR sports game.
Well, you
PlayStation
had to
Move game. Sports
yes,
Champions. Yeah.
yes. So that one, I didn't think that one necessarily got shit on per se, but like everyone knew that it was just like a game that came out at launch to show how to use the controls. But
It
that
wanted to be
disc,
Wii Sports, you know?
yeah, I enjoyed it more than Wii Sports. That disc golf game, I still
I
get cravings to
like
play
the
it.
archery.
The archery was fun, but that disc golf though, I would like they had it at the demo at work, and I would play it
Yeah.
all the time when it was slow, and I just wanted it. I still want it. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm just like, I bet I can buy that. I'll price it out and then just never hit submit and buy it. I should stop chickening out.
Yeah, just do it. Just be the disc golf champion. Look, put that demon to rest. Finally.
Will the move work with my PlayStation 4?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. It's the same. It's the
You
same.
can't play a PlayStation 3 game on it, though.
Yeah.
Do they have Sports Champion on PlayStation 4? Do I have to go buy a PlayStation 3 in this for it?
You do.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's on PS Now.
Yeah. So,
Ah, shit.
um, I guess this is like, look, Shanae. I think that whatever price you got to pay for the PlayStation 3 and Sports Champions will be well worth it to put that demon
And
to
the
rest.
move.
And the move will be well worth it to put that demon to rest finally. You know. I don't want you to have to
That
keep
demon's
waking
my only
up.
friend these days.
Yeah, I don't want you to have to
Quarantine's rough.
keep waking up in the middle of the night screaming out because
Disc golf! Yeah. So I mean, that one didn't really get shit on, but I did have to tell people I'm like that did have like a move at the time. I'm like, that Sports Champion's pretty good, man. Go like play that demo.
yeah,
Uh, so like that one didn't necessarily get hate, but no one expected to like it.
yeah.
Sure.
I'd actually never heard of it until this conversation, but no, I want you to
The
have
archery
it.
is okay, but that's
I want
I
you to
had
have
like a perfect little.
it. Which is like, I'm not even actually certain of what disc golf is. I know that there are frisbees, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
It's frisbee golf.
Okay.
Frolf?
It's
Yeah, it's frolf.
yeah. It's so you know the rules of golf where like you wanna like hit the ball into the hole and you want to use the least amount of hits possible.
Yeah.
Essentially same thing.
Put it in the frisbee hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the three games I could think of that like I've had to like defend or necessarily convince anybody I've told to play. Like anybody or that I've had to defend like anybody just shitting on it.
Yeah.
There's other games where I've like had to be like, hey, like if you like this, you should like this, and this is why. But like normally they're not like games that a lot of people shit on.
Yeah.
So, like, there were two games that made me think of this topic, and one of them Ryan mentioned, the Resident Evil 3 remake. It did okay. It got like okay reviews, but like a lot of people bashed that game. Uh, it's not as good as 2, right? I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. But like visually, it's not as good. Gameplay wise, it's not like Resident Evil 2. It's more like Resident Evil 3, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does
Three
make
is like
sense.
3.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, indeed.
people were mad that like Nemesis was not as dynamic as he is in the original, right? When he shows up, it's very scripted.
Ah.
You know, people were mad that they removed an entire section of the game. But like, fuck, I can acknowledge that 2, the remake of 2 is the better game. But I had a lot more fun with the remake of 3.
Yeah.
You know, I beat 2, I guess technically twice. But like 3, I can't tell you how many times I beat 3. It's fun and it's like perfect for speed runs. Is it scary? No, it's not scary at all. But like, it's just a fun, dumb action game.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I just feel like even back then, like back in the late '90s when 2 and 3 came out, I feel like even still the feel between the two games was different. Like I feel like
Yeah.
2 was the more like horror game, and 3 was definitely the action game. It was like that. Even,
You had the dodge.
yeah,
You know, even back then you had the dodge.
it was like that 20 years ago, right? And
But
I guess the expectations are different now. But I mean, I'm totally cool with there being like one being the action game because that's just the way
Right.
it was, and it's fun, you know. But
I think it's a kind of a curse of an anthology of games when you number them like this. Like with Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, there's going to be people who are going to shit on a perfectly fine game because of expectations from previous games in the series.
yeah, it just seems like Resident Evil over a period of time, like leaned further and further and further into the action genre, and then they hit a point where they were like, we might have gone too far, and then they dialed it back and made it a horror game again. But
I mean, that was
It's like
fault of
the
4,
sprinkler.
right? People love 4, but people acknowledge that 4 is what turned Resident Evil into an action series.
right,
But 4 is fun. 4 is fun as fuck.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so is 5.
but
So-
6 wasn't. So people got mad about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Why-
Like once they got to 6, they were like, "Oh shit, we went too far." And,
Yeah.
and then like 7 came out, and they're like,
But
"Oh,
5
Resident
I
Evil
didn't-
scary
5 I didn't
again."
like.
I liked 5.
Yeah, 5 was
It was
great.
mainly, I think it's mainly because I was playing it by myself and then also with somebody else. So when I was playing by myself and like Sheba and just kept fucking up my shit, I just got super done with it, and I didn't beat the game because I just got done of like that sundial, or one of the sundial like
Yeah.
puzzles is like killed me because she kept moving the sundial back. I'm like, no, bitch, that's not what you need to do.
Did you push? Did you? Well, on that part, Sinead, you're actually supposed to push the no bitch button, and that stops her from doing that. But
Well, I didn't do it, and it kept like happening. So I just got frustrated, and then I started playing something else, and then just never picked it up again.
it's a cool game, though. You know, and I think that in the especially for a series like Resident Evil, I feel like there is definitely space for both. Like you know the really the really scary atmospheric games and the straight up action games. You know.
Oh.
Are you fine with them all being numbered, or do you think they should like be like the more scary ones are numbered and more
Well, you know
action
what's
ones? I mean, we
funny
can't
is,
do
like-
anything that now, but I'm saying
Yeah.
It's funny how the series has gone, right? Because like 6, and then they did like the Operation games and all that. Like,
and like Code Veronica or whatever.
I mean, that was before, but like at that point in time, Resident Evil, the numbered Resident Evils were the action games, and Revelations went back to horror.
Yeah.
But now Revelations isn't a thing. It was rumored that upcoming Village was going to be Revelations 3, but that's not the case.
What was
You
the one
know.
on the 3DS where you had to get like the extra like thingy to play it?
That was Revelations. That was the first one.
Gotcha. That's what I
Yeah,
thought, but I wasn't sure. And then when did Revelations 2 come out?
a couple years later.
Yeah.
Early PS4, I think.
Yeah, Tom and I
Right?
played it, and we took turns being the like we took turns like, okay, this time you get to hold the gun and I'll be the other person. And then the person who didn't get to hold the gun was having like the worst time.
But
Friends.
yeah, and then the game that really made me think of this was I kind of sucks. I didn't realize they're both remakes. The Panzer Dragoon remake.
Yeah.
Panzer
It's probably
Dragoon
both
remake,
remakes.
like I guess people were upset, one with the visuals and two with certain gameplay mechanics. Uh, I mean, visually, it's not gorgeous, right? But like initially, this was a Switch game. It eventually came to other consoles, but it was a Switch game first, you know. And like, I think it looks not like fantastic. It doesn't look like Shadow of the Colossus from Blue Point, right? But
No.
like, compared to literally any Sega Saturn game, it looks pretty fucking fantastic, you
Yeah.
know? Um, there were a couple of things with like the way that moving the reticle was. I guess it was too slow. The fact that the reticle was like overlaid on top of everything. I didn't play it at launch. By the time I played it, it feels like the Saturn version to me. The reticle thing is fixed, you know? So maybe that's why. Maybe at launch it was just really that bad, and I don't know because I wasn't there at launch.
Yeah.
But like,
You
fuck,
weren't there. You
I
don't know.
loved it, man. I fucking loved it,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh, what about you, Ryan? 'Cause I can think of one game off the top of my head that like you were pretty down for since launch and still a defender of.
What game is that?
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, but like people love that game now, and
Oh,
it,
Star Fox Adventures as well.
so wait, hold on. Talk to me about Star Fox Adventures, Tom, because you are actually literally the only person I know who's played that game. So tell
Yeah.
me.
So Star Fox Adventures is a third-person action adventure game.
Yeah.
Not too different from like a Zelda,
Right.
right? It didn't originally start off as a Star Fox game, and like most of the way through development, Nintendo's like, this needs to be a Star Fox game. So Rare, it was Rare, right?
I don't know.
I think it's a Rare game. I could be wrong. Anyways, it got last minute reworked into a Star Fox game. And of course, people were like, well, this isn't fucking Star Fox. I'm like, no, it's not. But it's still a fun game.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. That's it.
Like they didn't name it Star Fox and had it like, I don't know, some random character. Fun game.
Yeah.
I think that Star Fox Adventures in that respect kind of it went through the same thing that Perfect Dark Zero went through, right? It's just you attach this name like this, this a reputable name to this product, and if it's not what people have known that product to be, then it's not great. And
To be fair, though, Perfect Dark Zero wasn't fun.
So my thing with Perfect Dark Zero is I think that as a shooter, it was fine. I just think that compared to its namesake, which is a game that I played a lot of, I just think it wasn't. It just wasn't
Wasn't up
nearly
to
as good.
snuff.
No.
But in regards to No Man's Sky though, like it, I like a lot of what I have to say about that game I've already said, but it's just like I just remember, I guess it's 4.5 years ago now when that game came out, and like, and I've often said that like maybe I don't know like what is supposed to be bad about a game a lot of the time, because like there are many times where someone is like, I hate this thing, and then I'm holding it in my hands and like I'm experiencing it and I'm like, I guess I'm an idiot or something because I don't see it. But
I'm not a man of culture. Yeah, there's like
Don't you agree? Like, I personally think the whole No Man's Sky thing is quite similar to the Cyberpunk thing,
So that's what I was
in
actually.
that like people were straight up lied to.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's
Yeah,
I think it's weird though because like in both cases that is true. It's just they're true in different ways, and but also like the two are being compared not because there were lies told in both cases, but just the general reception of the game at launch. And I think that No Man's Sky, when it came out, there was nothing broken about the game. It just didn't have the features that were promised. But the game played. The game was technically sound, right? Um,
the game was pretty okay. I wouldn't say technically sound. There was still like bugs and glitches,
sure.
but like I think that that the reason that both lies kind of can somewhat resonate on a similar frequency is I feel like both lies are what they wanted the game to be. I mean, both was maliciously done, misled their customers and stuff like that. But like, I think Cyberpunk genuinely did want to work on consoles.
But I
uh,
mean, here's the thing, right? Like, don't release it on a console it's not going to work for.
Yes.
One, two. Uh, they refuse to give reviewers last gen versions of the game, right? So
yeah,
like every review was only the PC version.
that's not something that you would do if you were confident in your product.
Yeah. Then they come out and straight out say that it runs surprisingly well on these
That
consoles.
is not something you're supposed to say. Actually,
You know?
like in any context, that doesn't sound. It doesn't sound. It's not the compliment you think it is, right?
Yeah. And that's word
Yeah.
for word. You know,
Yeah.
surprisingly well is exactly
Um,
what was said.
like
And the thing is, and it's, sorry.
no, go ahead, Shanae.
Uh, yeah. So I work for a company where support on products is a thing that we have to deal with. And like for hours, they call it like deprecation when we have to stop supporting a product because of like updates or something like that. And it is much, much better for a company to just not support or pull support than put it out there and have it be shitty. Like
Yeah.
on all fronts for the customer experience, for your call centers, for your like distribution of that product and just shipping it out constantly. Like, yeah, no, it make like don't put
Like
it
with
on
No
something that's
Man's
not gonna
Sky,
work.
I was like with No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, like both those games were touted like the fucking second coming of Christ, you know?
Well,
Like,
like No Man's Sky was supposed to be a whole have all these amazing, crazy things
yeah.
and all these possibilities, and it was like, I mean, it's a large game. Like you're right about that fact, but I don't know. Like I have a couple friends at work who got Cyberpunk on consoles and last gen consoles. And like yeah, it crashes and I have to do the bug report every like or dev report or like crash report or whatever every now and then. He's like, but both of them are like, yeah, just keep trucking along. It's still a good game. They just power through it and it
I
doesn't
I
bother
I
them.
think a big part of that though is when people say that it's kind of people using anecdotal evidence as evidence of the absence of a problem, and I think
No,
that but I think my criticisms about Cyberpunk and everything around it are beyond like all like the technical shortcomings on last gen systems and even the technical shortcomings on current gen systems and everything. It's just like I have a
well,
whole
there's no current gen versions though.
that's I mean okay let me rephrase that the way that it performs on current gen consoles I should say, uh, but my like everything that my criticisms and about Cyberpunk like go beyond that and I don't really feel like getting into it right now but um, as far as you know with No Man's Sky I never really felt particularly compelled to defend it especially because I had the acknowledgement of everything around the release of that game and how what people were led to expect and what they actually got. And the only thing I'd ever really said about that game I feel is you know I for what it is I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And you know gradually that game became what was promised and more, but that doesn't change the fact that on launch day it wasn't. right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but
And
but you know, I
I
think
hope
what's that, Shanae?
I hope Cyberpunk eventually gets to the point where that can be said about them, where it works as promised or
Yeah.
maybe better.
Well, I mean, it serves no one for that not to be the case, right? And I mean, I think the only people that actually serves are people who actively want to have something bad to say about a game that other people want. But beyond that, like you know, naturally, especially for people who paid the you know the purchase price for this game and didn't get the product that you know they were led to expect. But anyway, yeah, I that's just No Man's Sky is just a game that I have always loved and had a fondness for, and it's something that you know anytime a conversation comes up about that game, it's still people who are still mad about what happened 4.5 years ago. And it's just like, and I just, it's not a conversation that I have the patience to engage with. It's like, I get it, but your energy is probably better spent elsewhere at this point. Um, but the game I was actually thinking of when this was brought up was Kane and Lynch. Uh, or I should say Kane and Lynch Deadman. Uh, so
Poorly
Mr.
received, was it?
Deadman.
so I guess like some
I
of
mean, I
the
don't really know. I guess.
it got average reviews, right? But
Yeah.
it didn't. It's not a game that like I would say any outlet loved. And I've never actually talked to any. I've never actually heard conversation about this game outside of conversation that I had initiated. Uh,
Like you gotta like convince anybody to play it, and it's gonna be a lot of convincing.
Actually, that may not be true because I did convince someone to play that game rather easily, but they had never heard of it before, so it was actually pretty easy. um, but like I don't know, I think that Kane Lynch definitely had its problems, right? Like, and a lot of the problems that it had were around the squad AI that they built that game around. Um, Whereas like you're playing as these you're playing as Kane and or Lynch, and every mission you have I think like between 2 and 4 AI squad mates that you can command. And the commands are really simplistic. It's like it's either all of you go over there or all of you come back here, and that's it. And so um,
Like Pikmin.
it's basically like well, see, not even with Pikmin, right? Because like with Pikmin, you could
Kane
designate
and Lynchman.
uh, with Pikmin, you can designate like, okay, this many of you go over there, and this many of you stay back here. Candle Lynch doesn't have that, right? But
I mean, not in all of Pikmin do you get to like kind of half them that way, or at least like that many.
okay, I haven't played all the Pikmin, so but like but what endeared me to Kane and Lynch, and I think this is something that kind of came up last week, is that they're protagonists that you don't normally get to play as. Like they're two aging like angry like guys. Like they're balding and they're not handsome by any stretch, but you
They
know,
got nothing to lose.
but like it's just again they're characters that you don't normally play as, right? And they're not perfect in any way. They're not even so far as I can tell, they're not good people. But it was
They are not.
but it was fun because I often don't get to play games with that have heists that from a plot standpoint constantly go poorly, and then and then these two like unhinged frenemies have to figure out a way to like live through it. And then you have things like Kane having to like deal with the fact that the actions in his life have led to like bad shit happening to his family, and him like you like experiencing like from a story point like the anger of that. But like the with that game, like a lot of people like I feel like a lot of people like gave it like mediocre, middling reviews. Like it received no glowing reviews from anybody. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it for what it was, because it was very gritty, and on some way it was like kind of really simplistic. But Um, I've always thought it was. I've always thought Kane and Lynch was just like a cool property. I've always thought it was a cool franchise. Um, and it's something I really enjoyed. But I don't think we'll ever get a Kane and Lynch 3, which makes me sad. But so it goes.
It's such a weird thing, right? Because and I know I brought this up at some point before, but it was years after the second game that they put those guys in Temple of Osiris.
Yeah.
And
It's weird, right? Because like at that point, I feel like most people had forgotten that Kane and Lynch existed.
Oh, I'm sure most of the people that played Temple of Osiris were like, "Who are these guys?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, it was one of the games, like at GameStop, that was like always on the wall. Like, I was like, okay, I know this is like place marker because like no one's picking this up.
Stranglehold and
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's just certain games that just like weren't selling.
Yeah.
Bullet Witch was there.
I actually
oh my god, Bullet Witch.
I actually at some point in my life I had a Kane and Lynch wallpaper on my computer, and I thought it was the coolest thing. So
Bullet Storm was also always like on there.
Yeah.
Mag.
Yeah, but Bullet Storm fucking.
We know the games.
Bullet Storm fucking rips though. So.
Yeah, but it's.
Bullet Storm's another one though, like that I liked the game, but I feel like was advertised just very poorly.
Yeah.
Because like I remember it just being very like I remember the marketing for it, like the commercials and stuff, just feeling very like Nickelodeon.
Well, for me, it wasn't even that. Like I've talked about this on the show. It's been a couple of years, but Bulletstorm's whole thing was creative kills.
Yeah, they lied.
Yeah.
But when it's score based and there is a preferred way for you to get a higher score, that takes away the desire to be creative in any way.
Yeah, they actually have like I remember there's a list of creative kills that you go down, and then at a certain point you stop getting the points you get for them either diminish or just cease completely. I can't remember. But it's just like, well, I'm not playing this game.
You can be creative, but pick one of these two things to do. Yeah. Otherwise, like, you're fucked.
Yeah. That game is also.
But it's fun though.
That game is also best played on mute, actually. But Bulletstorm is fun. I like that game.
Yeah. No, that. I forgot I like Stranglehold too.
There was a
Stranglehold was awesome.
Yeah, Stranglehold is great, dude. I love Stranglehold.
To be fair, I haven't played it since.
And the Saboteur.
I never played this.
Saboteur was okay.
But man, like the cool thing about Stranglehold is, well, I think a lot of what I love about Stranglehold is the fact that I loved Hard Boiled so much. And then I was like, I'm playing that movie, kind of. And like,
I liked how much they did with like interactables in the environment.
Yeah.
Because you can think of later games that do the same thing that didn't do it as well.
Yeah.
Like Sleeping Dogs, right? But with Sleeping Dogs, it's all just like, this is clearly here for me to use.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this guy in the trash can or whatever.
And they kind of, and that was like part of that. That was part of the generation where like they would actively highlight that shit for you.
Yeah. But like Stranglehold, which is significantly older, it's like, I'm going to jump in slow motion and turn around and fire behind me while I'm rolling on this fucking cart, and like
sliding down like stairway banisters while firing.
It felt more dynamic.
That game is fucking cool, man. Yeah. I love Stranglehold. That game rocks. You got me. I'm gonna reinstall that game. That game's really cool.
I know. After this, I'm excited to go play some more Final Fantasy. I never actually finished 10. I think I just watched like a highlights video of it, maybe played a little bit of it, but I feel like I should actually play 10. But I just want to keep playing Final Fantasy X too.
Yeah. The other one that I had was Lords of the Fallen, which is it's basically Dark Souls made by another company, but I felt like, and that's basically how it was received. Like it's just because it controls in the same way. The setting is pretty similar, but like I think that it was criticized because of how much it takes from Dark Souls, and how very apparent it is, and I don't think that at any point they were trying to be like dishonest about that. It seems like it was like they wore that on their sleeve. Um, but I
So
think
they
We
were
would
one
like
of
to
the
be Dark
first,
Souls,
yeah,
you
please.
know? Like, there's plenty of games that are in that Soulsborne genre now,
yeah,
but that game was one of the first.
yeah,
So, of course, it's going to get the heavy criticism, you
yeah.
know?
But
It's like
like,
when everything was a GTA clone,
yeah,
or even Immortals being a Breath of the Wild clone.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
like when you're
and
one of the first,
yeah,
you're going to get it the worst.
you see it in other genres too, like YouTube channels, trends, social media trends.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Well,
whoever's popular is the clone,
I just
or everything else is the clone.
But everything's iterative, though, right? Like,
it has to
even
be at
those
this
games,
point.
Dark Souls takes from plenty of other games.
Yeah,
So does Breath of the Wild, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But like,
But they just do it very well.
what I like about Lords of the Fallen though is that um, I think that I think it's a more accessible game in like a lot of different respects. Like I think it tells.
Is it more forgiving?
Actually, in some ways, I feel like it is. But I feel like also think that it does a few things differently than Dark Souls that set it apart. Like I think that the story is more coherent. Um, it's and I also it also has a system in place where it has kind of like a risk reward system. So in Dark Souls, you kill enemies and you get souls, and then if you die, then you lose all your souls, and then you have to go back and get them. Um, Lords of the Fallen has the same thing, except what it does instead is it provides you with kind of a risk reward system. So basically, like the longer you go without going to their equivalent of a bonfire and banking the souls, then the longer you go without doing that, a multiplier is applied to how many you get. So like if you really want to push your luck, you can really accumulate a lot very quickly. And I thought that was, and I think things like that are really cool. And the way that
Shovel Knight do something similar?
I don't know, I never really played much Shovel Knight, but
Pretty sure it did.
If you
but
can handle that longer, you're gonna get some more points.
yeah,
And no one gave Shovel Knight shit, you know?
yeah. But I don't know. I think
Shovel Knight's just a Dark Souls clone.
it's actually Shovel Knight is a Scrooge like, I think.
I mean, it's got elements of that, and Man in Castlevania,
Yeah.
you know, but like.
It's a Tales like.
A Tales.
Uh,
But I don't know. I think that I think that it's a cool game in its own right, and I think that developer has done a few things within what is now, I guess, an established kind of genre to to set themselves apart. Like with shit, what is it called? The Surge. It's basically the elevator pitch is it's sci-fi Dark Souls, but to play it, there's actually more to it than that. And I think that being inspired by like another well-known and successful franchise is not a bad thing, But
so also it just like gives you more options because I can't tell you the amount of times I've like finished a game and I'm like, can I play a game just like this?
yeah,
But like slightly different.
yeah,
Because I want
Balls
more
too,
of
right?
this. Yeah.
Like, I remember in 2017 saying that, like, after Breath of the Wild, there's going to be so many games that are like this. And nobody had the fucking nuts to do it.
yeah. Same thing with fucking Middle Earth.
The little weird system they have
the
there.
Nemesis system, which like
Mm-hmm.
like people were certain that we were going to see that in video games for years to come, and it never happened. So I don't know. I think that Lords of the Fallen is a good game in its own right, and independent of what other games came before it and inspired it, I think it's actually a really good game that people should play, and I hope that sequel comes out soon. So
Space Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this topic. It was fun. It was like though I do realize just like how unoriginal my game tastes are, but fuck it. I like what I like.
Unoriginal?
What's unoriginal about that?
I like a lot of things, and also I like a lot of things that other people like.
Yeah.
So like
Good.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't have a lot of games that I could think of where I actively have to like defend them. I was maybe Atomi's and like a whole as a genre thing.
Yeah,
Why
sure.
I invest so much time into them. I just want all the boyfriends and girlfriends, and I don't know what's weird about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing weird about uh, being horny, I guess. So,
Yeah.
so
uh, horny for relationships.
sure.
Uh,
If an Otomi, I'm sure it's happened, but I've never seen it. If an Otomi ever gets like a physical copy, that should be one of the things on the back of the box. It's not weird to be horny, I guess.
I mean, there's Atomi's with physical copies, and maybe one of them has it on there.
I
I
think
don't
I
know.
feel like that should have been the
Uh,
tagline for Catherine, and this should have been
Not
like
weird to be horny, I
it
guess.
should have been that.
Brian Robinson podcast.
And I think that should have been the tagline for Catherine, and then like a big spread of that booby vagina monster.
Sure.
Yeah, and then you
um,
open the case and it moans at you.
so update on as far as the Help Me Tommy one Kenobi. I've kept your tip in mind for Last of Us, but I have not gone in and tried to play it. Now that I'm done with puzzles, which by the way, I just finished like I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I just finished like a kick-ass Star Wars puzzle.
How many
Starburst?
Star Wars.
Oh.
Star Wars.
How many pieces?
1,000, but like it's predominantly blue or orange, so it's just like very it was a little tricky.
Sounds like you're describing a starburst puzzle.
Um, but yeah, do y'all have any closing thoughts for it in the show?
No? Play what you like to play, you know?
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
if anybody gives you shit about the games that you like, then don't listen to
I
them.
mean, I'll give you shit about
send
it.
them our way. We'll show
I'm
them
gonna give
what's
you
up.
shit about it.
Yeah.
We'll show them what's up.
Tom will tell you that he heard something about that game,
Oh.
and he'll tell you what he heard. But I don't know. There's a video game out there for everybody, and like so just play what speaks to you, I guess. Also,
Yeah, you can.
number-based review systems are garbage.
All right, you can find us on the YouTube if you want to see our pretty faces. We're also on most podcast apps such as Podomatic, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes. Well, a lot of those jams. We also have an Instagram. So we got a Discord if you want to come talk. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.